Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. I'm Soheila Bena, Chair of West Contra Costa Fire Safe Council. This is our quarterly meeting with a couple of weeks of delay because many people, including myself, have been on vacation. Good to see you all here. Thank you very much. We're going to start with some quick announcements, 1 minute each, and then we'll go right into EBMUD presentation, which is of great concern to many of us. So I would like to start, if I can find the agenda that I had here, sorry, asking Sue Duncan. Well, first of all, congratulations to people of El Cerrito for having established Fire Safe Council, our sister organizations. We're very happy that you're formally established. If you could just briefly tell us about your plans, when you started, and whatever you can share with us.
Thank you for asking me to speak. I am Sue Duncan, co-founder and president of our group, formerly known as Make El Cerrito Fire Safe, now El Cerrito Fire Safe Council as of June. As far as what we will be doing differently now that we are a Fire Safe Council, besides having liability insurance and bylaws and more access to grants, I can't really see a change in what we've been doing since we started our group in the fall of 2018. A few of our more major accomplishments are bringing to the city and having the council adopt a resolution in July of 21 stating that wildfire prevention and preparedness is a top priority of the city. After 6 years of trying, getting the city to run a pilot program of restricted parking on 4 of our narrowest streets on red flag days. This is the second year of the pilot program, and we are now urging the city to adopt an ordinance so it becomes permanent, enforceable, and can be expanded. We attend all the city council meetings, speak to fire issues, meet with individual council members, meet monthly with chief sailors, have met several times with Assembly Member Wicks and the office director of former state Senator Skinner, led a successful drive to keep Fire Station 52 open during the city's financial crisis. I started meeting with members of the Oakland Fire Safe and Claremont County Conservancy in 2019 to begin the process of forming a JPA, which morphed into an MOU that created the East Bay Wildfire Coalition of Governments. This group of Fire Safe Councils now is now known as the East Bay Fire Safe Alliance. The list of what we continue to work on, grants, vegetation mitigation, and so much more will expand as more issues arise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again. And it's wonderful to have a sister in the neighborhood. I know that Richmond Fire Department and our officers at West Contra Costa Fire Safe Councils have been working on a FireWise home advisor program. If Merlin or Fire Marshal Wiley could talk about it for a minute, please.
Hi, I don't know if Fire Marshal Wiley is on the call. I can talk a little bit to it. I'm not going to say too much because we've got a big program, and we're just starting out. I have already done prior research on behalf of UC Master Gardeners who want a county-wide home advisor program with volunteers. And what I came up against is that there's actually quite a bit of controversy on actual reporting processes. So I have, meanwhile, talked to some more people, and it turns out there is a reporting software that's a bit pricey, but it's something for us to think about, called FireWise, so we can unify our the reports that we generate and help people find the resources they need to help them. What I did talk with quite a bit about, and we haven't made final decisions, is we want a program that does best practices. And because they're individual home advisings kind of things, we can help people do all those nuances that when you read something, it doesn't help you that much to make some big decisions. Some of these decisions cost a lot of money, and they're not necessarily need to go there. Anyhow, that's where we're going. It's definitely early days, but we're hoping we get the UC Master Gardeners and Fire Safe Council volunteers trained and available to help people plan their process and how they can get to where they need to be over, say, 3 years, because all of us know how expensive it is and what a lot of work it can be.
Thank you very much. So you may know Marilyn is the vice chair of West Contra Costa Fire Safe Council, and she's also arranging an upcoming course titled Sustainable Firescaping by Doug Kent from Rescape, California. This is just heads up. We will send more specific information about the class time, and we hope more people will sign up for it because I heard a lot of good things about it. So with that, and thank you for the notes in the chat. I appreciate Public Works team to be here and taking notes. I just wanted to suggest if you're interested in networking, please put your name, title, email for others in the chat. If you care to connect or if you have, I don't know, interest in networking. With that, I give the floor to EBMUD team. I would like to especially thank General Manager Clifford Chen to be here with us and being so collaborative and on short notice arranging this presentation. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilmember Bana, and thank you everyone for being here. First also thank you too. I don't know if everybody on the line knows, but I was talking to Councilmember Bana Friday night, I think around 11 p.m. After all the emails were coming out. So we had a good conversation with all the concerns about these locking hydrant caps, sharing with her the purpose and all the communication that we've done over the years. So people were aware, but really kind of identify, there's also other opportunities to work with the fire safe councils and the fire departments to see where there are opportunities to improve communications, and also sharing with you, council member, of why we put these on in the first place, but again, and how we have communicated with others in the past about this. I have a few people online to present. David Briggs is our Director of Operations and Maintenance, and Dave Renstrom is our Manager of Water Distribution Planning. I think we have Matt Sporlater here for some other items later in your agenda. But with that, and leaving all the time to have a discussion on the hydrants, I'm going to pass on to Dave Briggs.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I assume you can hear me okay. Council member, how much time do you want to allow us for this presentation?
I prefer 10 minutes, and then after that, up to 10 minutes, and then questions and answers after that.
Okay, I do have a list of questions that I think was provided to me through our public affairs people. So I was by and large going to go off that list that it was transmitted to me about your questions. But and Clifford and Dave, please chime in anytime if you need to. But I wanted to just first show you something if I'm going to operate Zoom carefully enough here.
You're welcome to share a slide. You have permission.
Thank you. And can you see that? Can you see those pictures now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about. On the left, we refer to these as locking caps or anti-theft devices.
You might want to make it a little bigger, Dave. Just.
Thank you. How's that? A little better?
That's good.
Okay, yeah. So on the left is an anti-theft device. So you do need the firefighters and the maintenance staff do need a wrench to remove the cap. On the other side of the hydrant is the valve. So a standard wrench is used to actually move the valve on the hydrant, but to access to put a hose on the hydrant, you need to remove these caps first. On the right is a pressure monitoring device, and you can see the padlock dangling below there. So these are typically installed on the 2.5-inch outlet of the hydrant and not on the 4.5-inch outlet. So that one is unencumbered. We rapidly tried to survey how many of the caps, the anti-theft locking caps we had in the areas that were that Councilwoman Bana communicated to us and other fire chiefs in the area. And we went out and inspected those on Friday night, late all the way into Saturday morning, to remove the caps in Contra Costa County. we had a preliminary list. Again, I'm talking about the ones on the left here. We had a preliminary list of dozens and dozens of these through many cities in the west of Hills area in Contra Costa County and east of Hills areas of Contra Costa County as well. When we went out there and verified actually what we saw actually very few caps installed on hydrants, and then we removed those caps. I'll get into the outreach and coordination that we do in a moment, but just wanted to emphasize that to our knowledge, there are no locking caps on hydrants right now in Contra Costa County. On the right, the pressure monitoring devices, there's only 170 of those in the entire service area, so these are relatively rare. And when I get to the coordination section here shortly, I'll elaborate, but generally, we have informed fire departments that the best way to access this is to simply cut the padlock with equipment they have on their fire rigs, and they would access the low flow outlet if they needed it. The high flow outlet is unencumbered and ready.
And Dave, maybe just for perspective, we have 170 of these pressure monitors on the smaller outlets. We have 30,000 hydrants. So just if people are wondering how many hydrants are out there, so
yeah, 31,000, Clifford. So. Okay, so I wanted to just start the information share here with what we were talking about. I think Clifford may have elaborated on this, but since the 90s, we have been working first with Oakland Fire Department. And I have to say that we have about 515 locking caps. The vast majority of them are in the city of Oakland. We have been coordinating with the city of Oakland since the mid-90s. We have had a joint interest in not having unauthorized people access our hydrants. The fire departments usually do not want random things connected to hydrants, whether it's theft or a landscape contractor or an unhoused community accessing it, or yeah, as I said, often contractors will illegally access hydrants. Nobody wants there to be unauthorized access to hydrants. For our purposes, we do not want water contamination to be introduced into the public water system, and we certainly don't want water theft either. So there are many reasons why we put these on, and generally we've been working with fire departments in our entire service area since the mid-90s. We host an annual fire agency forum. Usually we host it at East Bay MUD, and it's typically attended by fire chiefs usually. And sometimes their deputy staff, and we meet about once a year. The last time this was on the agenda was 2023, but it has been on the agenda probably a dozen times over the last couple decades, where we have talked about how to access hydrants that have this apparatus on them and how to remove them. So this is very common for us to communicate with fire departments what is connected to the hydrants and how to deal with it. Just related to the mapping, we have all kinds of information on hydrants available for firefighters. The best way to access that is through eastbaymud.com/fire. So that is a live link that we don't typically advertise that to the public. If you go to that link, you will see information about our hydrants. We usually have a map there that shows out of service hydrants. However, our GIS right now in this particular day is not functioning, but usually that graphical layer is available for anybody to see for out of service hydrants. It's a searchable database. You can see the last time hydrants were maintained or tested in any city. You could search by city or street. So that information is readily available. We also make our pipe maps that include hydrant locations available to fire agency staff upon request. And they basically get all of our infrastructure maps showing all that in a GIS format to aid them do their work. I know, Councilwoman, you asked about flow data and test data, and you've had conversations with Clifford about this over the past few months.
I'm sorry, before we get that, let's just focus on the caps. And I wonder if there are any questions about, are you done with the cap issue?
I think so. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, let's make sure answers are all the questions are answered before we get into the next part of presentation. Any questions for David?
I could stop sharing if you want to see everybody, if that's
Okay, we're seeing your email or text or something right now
sorry.
just for your information. And also for your information, we're going to record this and share it with the public, the recording. My question was, how long does it take for the caps to be removed? And you then mentioned the reason why you do this. And also, Chief David Sprague had some questions. I wonder if you're going to answer his questions as well.
I'm happy to answer any question. I don't know if they're in the chat or if they're in email or however you want.
I shared them with you
Oh,
beforehand. Chief Sprague cannot attend the meeting today. I was hoping you would answer him, but how much longer does it take to access the fire hydrants for the firefighters with the new cap?
If a wrench is available on the fire truck, I would say a matter of seconds.
Okay. Are there any questions? Is everybody happy with this presentation? Also, would you like to share the reason why you put the caps on?
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, from EBMUD's perspective, the two main issues are to prevent water, actually three, I would say, to prevent water theft, to prevent water contamination in a public water system that's potable. And last, when hydrants are opened and water goes rushing out, that can create liabilities that are going to be on EBMUD. Since it's our apparatus, we would be subject to liability for any claims that if that water flow flooded anybody or created any damage.
Are any of them in the WUI area or very high fire hazard severity zone?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So if you can permit me to show you another map here, I'm going to try to do this. If your permission here. So this is a preliminary map that we have for locations with the locking caps. And we ground truth this a bit over the weekend. As you can see, the vast majority are in Oakland and I think San Lorenzo, San Leandro. Very, very, very few are in Contra Costa County. And you can also see that this isn't showing very clearly the WUI area, but most of these are installed in lower lying areas and not in the WUI area.
Okay.
I can share all this to you, email all this information to you.
Of course, I would appreciate a copy of the map. Marianne, if you could make your question brief and concise, please.
Yes, I'm curious, what was the incidence of theft on this, and what have you done follow-up studies in terms of the effectiveness of the caps for protecting for the other reasons for installing them? Are they effective? Is it doing the job?
Yes, to our knowledge, it is. It works.
How do you know that?
Well, so we've had situations where we've had to go I was talking to a colleague of mine this morning who said that years ago, we got called out to the same hydrant 3 times in one day to turn it off after whether it was, people were enjoying the water show and cooling off. It wasn't a case of theft. I think it was just people trying to access the water to have a good time. After the 3rd time we visited the same site, I think, we installed a cap and then we're no longer called out to the site. So the caps work. And they prevent. They're very difficult to access if you don't have the right equipment or if you don't have authorization.
And I have one more quick question. So if other agencies come to help, do they have the right equipment?
So that is primarily an Oakland issue because the vast majority are in Oakland. As you can see, there's not many in Contra Costa County. The resolution of that is to issue the special wrenches and to make sure that the fire rigs in the various jurisdictions have them on their trucks and have some ability to share them if there is a mutual aid situation and trucks are arriving from a different location. So we would rely on the local fire agency to share those wrenches if there was a mutual aid issue. That is a much larger task for the city of Oakland.
Okay, unfortunately, I don't think if we have any fire chiefs from Alameda County. Anybody from Alameda County here? I don't think so, but I believe the main complaint was the time it takes to access them. And I wonder if the firefighter is getting a chance to practice it or not. But we'll talk to them, and if need arises, we'll have one more meeting. Could you continue with the map?
I have a question, please.
Sure, yes.
How long before you think the maps of where the locked hydrants are will be available to the fire department?
I think we should, so as soon as possible. I want to ground truth them. I'm sorry, Chief Sailors.
Chief Sailors.
And I forget which.
El Cerrito.
El Cerrito. Okay. I think yours may have been ground truthed over the weekend. So I want to give you the ground truth version, the one that I know is correct. And if you're in Contra Costa County, I'm pretty sure I can get you that within a few days.
We would need a master map for where all they are, since we all share mutual aid. We don't frequently, but we do go into Oakland to help out. We were in Oakland just recently last year, and Oakland will come over and help us out, right? And to come across the locked hydrant will basically undo all the assumptions that we make when we fight a fire. So when we go into a burning building, we'll operate off the first 500 gallons that are on the fire engine. And we know that we have roughly 5 minutes to get the firefighters in the structure water off a hydrant. The people go into the burning building, assuming that we're going to get them water off a hydrant. So what will happen with a locked hydrant is that if we don't know where it's at, to us, it's effectively an out of service hydrant. We'll go into that burning building, and then we'll find ourselves without any water, and our firefighters will suffer deeply for that. This is surprisingly close to the after action report that came out of the 91 tunnel fire. I put a link to that report in the chat and directed you to page 62, which will basically walk you through almost verbatim what you said of what not to do and why not to do it. Because Oakland Fire Department kept adapters for incoming agencies to help them in a warehouse. They were obviously unable to get them in time, unable to distribute them in time, and most of the incoming units that were coming in as strike teams to help were unable to access the water out of the hydrants. So the locking caps will basically create the same scenario. So the requests for the maps are for the incoming agencies to know basically these hydrants are out of service to them. To make this work effectively, you'd have to give this wrench to every agency in the state of California. So El Cerrito Fire Department, and I don't say that just for hyperbole, the El Cerrito Fire Department sent units down to the Eaton fire, and we engaged in fire attack, and we worked as hard as we possibly could. And thank goodness we didn't come across any locked hydrants. What we came across was a fire hydrant, which is for the fire department, so that we could hook to it at any time and any time. And after the Oakland Hills fire of 91, rules came out that basically regulated all hydrants are to be accessible by any agency coming in, because frequently agencies will come from out of state as well, intrastate, as part of our master mutual aid contract that was established in the 1980s. So I would love to get those maps so we can see which hydrants are unavailable to us, so that we know when we'll go in to help Oakland or not go help Oakland, because it doesn't do us any good if we can't access water.
And maybe, Chief, thank you for that. I do think we need to have that conversation. We aren't the only agency out there that uses locking caps. There are other agencies in our area, not EBMUD, that use locking caps. There are other agencies in Santa Cruz, as an example. The city has adopted policies on the use of locking caps. So I do think this might even be a broader discussion beyond EBMUD.
I would agree entirely, yeah.
So I think this is the issue. We should sit down and say, how do we address it within EBMUD, make sure everybody has it? But there is a real need to, as Dave described, to prevent, the acute water contamination that this happens, plus the damage. And we've seen, and you've probably seen, where when there's theft, they've rounded the nut on the other end, where it's difficult just to wrench it because of all the illegal theft. So this is a broad issue. I think we should have a broader discussion on. And so I appreciate your feedback.
I definitely empathize with the problem. I understand it entirely. The solution might set EBMUD up for an unimaginable amount of liability for a fire if it gets out of control, and the response is that Well, the reason why we're unable to fight the fire is because we're unable to access water, right? And you're right, a local conversation is challenging. In 91, it became a national conversation, right? Because the underlying problem to that fire was that incoming fire departments were unable to access water. And I am aware that other agencies do have tamper-free devices on their hydrants, you know, the most common ones that you'll see are in New York. But that's context bound to one large agency that spans a massive amount of terrain. Whereas in both Alameda and Contra Costa County and in the state of California, you have multiple agencies and a master mutual aid that is unique to the country, right? With strike teams that are unique to the country that will come in from all different areas that have to access that water. So I would love to continue to have this conversation. I think there's a lot of details on what our tactics are and why there's certain assumptions about our tactics and how we can be impacted by something like this with maybe not being tested for many years, but when it is tested, the consequences being severe.
Thank you, Chief Sailors. Our suggestion is to have a local meeting in Alameda and Contra Costa with the fire chiefs and local governments. And also we plan to communicate with our California Senator, Jesse Oregon, who is the chair of Public Safety Committee. So hopefully we can come up with a uniform code for the entire California to make sure mutual aid works everywhere. And I will send an email to everyone. So if everybody has time this Friday, we can have another Zoom meeting because I mean, having meetings once a year, and the last one was in 2023 between EBMUD and fire agencies is not adequate. We need to have, we need to have a communication protocol for such cases. Apparently there was no communication until Fire Safe Councils, said, hey, we need to do something about it. We would like to be at the table, Fire Safe Councils, because we are the link to the community members, and we want to make sure that we keep public trust and confidence in everything that all your wonderful agencies do. So I'll be in touch with you for a meeting on Friday on Zoom, hopefully around noon. Thank you very much with that. And David, if you could continue the presentation about the maps within only a few minutes, that'd be great.
Sure. I don't think I have too much more to share. And just to correct you, we did have a meeting. We have a meeting every year. So the last meeting was December, and Dave Renstrom can correct me. December of 2024. So we do meet annually with the Fire Agency Forum. And I think I was just rounding out the location of our hydrant maintenance and operational data. I gave you the link. I could say it again, eastbaymud.com/fire.
Yes, because it was brought to our attention by residents and also UC Berkeley research students, thanks to Professor Gallner, that the spacing between fire hydrants is not the standard. Some of them are too far apart in the WUI area. So we would like to look into that distance to make sure there's adequate number of fire hydrants in very high fire hazard severity zone. So we need a map of that. And if you could share it by email, that'd be awesome.
Sure.
And if you could just provide a brief summary of the water pressure, how it is. Should we trust that water pressure is perfect on all of them? So
yeah, so I know that was a question that you had from 6 months ago or so, and I believe we've compiled that pressure information for you. I'm sorry to say, I don't know if that was actually transmitted to you by one of our public affairs people, but we did compile that information. So I guess that would be my question. Did you receive that information yet from us?
Not yet.
Okay.
Hopefully we will. And
yeah.
We would like to share it with the public too.
Okay, that's an easy
okay.
request. Yeah, that's an easy request. And
Dave, at the time of the request, just quickly, Supervisor Joy had asked that all that communication information go through him because this was at the East Bay Wildfire Coalition. So that information should have been funneled through him.
Understood. We'll contact Supervisor Joy's office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for East Bay Mud before we let them go? No? Okay. So we'll be in touch for a meeting on Friday and then working with our California legislatures to tighten things up in terms of public safety with regards to fire hydrants and East Bay Mud. Thank you very much again for attending on short notice and your collaboration and cooperation and always being on the side of public safety.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. With that, we go to the next item. I'm not sure if we have a representative from Confire because I know Chief Bachman is in Sacramento today, and so is Michelle, and they just texted and said they're not here. Anybody from Confire, or should we?
Hi, sorry. It's Michelle. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
yes, go ahead.
Hi. So really quick on the CEQA new regulations, defensible space and evacuation routes. So first on the CEQA regulations, SB 131 addressed CEQA exemptions. The district had the opportunity to provide input on our concerns and frustrations with the CEQA process for wildland fire mitigation projects in a recent meeting with Senator Grayson and Senate President Pro Tem Mike McGuire. We provided language to both senators, which, in our opinion, could streamline the process of getting important mitigation projects completed. Much of this language was ultimately included in the bill, and there are now specific exemptions to the expensive and time-consuming CEQA requirements specifically for prescribed fire projects, expanded evacuation route maintenance, and increased defensible space projects onto land surrounding housing developments. This impact on the legislation will enable us to channel more funds and effort directly into hazard mitigation and allow us to really address these concerns in a timelier manner without that lengthy CEQA review process for specific projects. And again, that's evacuation route maintenance, increased defensible space projects, and prescribed fire projects. And this is really in alignment with the governor's executive order, right? So I hope that addresses that topic. I'm going to have to jump back to the regulatory meeting, but as I mentioned in the chat, I will be coordinating with the partnered agencies, including Richmond Fire, on some of the topics that you have listed here, and we'll get that email out to you as soon as possible. We're just juggling several priorities at the same time, and we want to keep you in the loop on new things that are coming about.
Thank you very much. So just to confirm, Michelle,
Yes.
there is no CEQA requirement for defensible space 100 feet from the buildings, and also how many feet from evacuation routes?
So that's 10 feet off the improved roadway and 13.6 directly above the roadway. So clearance for fire apparatus to provide ingress egress and fire response.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much.
And then I'll get to the other topics. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I know that you have several important topics to discuss today, but I think in the interest of time and support for the regulatory process, I would like to provide updates by email, and then please encourage sharing with all of the attendees of today's meeting.
Sure, will do. And thank you
you.
for being in Sacramento.
Thank you.
On behalf of all of us. Next item is about subdivisions with limited access, and I wonder if our Fire Marshal Wiley could speak about the issue. Fire Marshal Wiley, are you here?
Yes, good morning, or excuse me, good afternoon. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to report on the subdivisions at this time.
Okay, is it on the plan? Any timeline? Any?
Yes, it is something that we are working towards, excuse me. But at this time, we don't have anything to report.
Excellent. Okay, we'll be in touch with you.
And so, Hela, just to confirm, the coordination that I was talking about, you have both Confire and Richmond Fire listed, so the subdivisions with limited access. I'd like to just also resource the AB 2911 maps that are publicly available. The Hilltop, Green, Vista Heights, and Monte Verde are not listed on the AB 2911 initiative by name. But again, I'll be working with Richmond Fire. We can get some updates there.
Okay, and I need both of you, Michelle and Fire Marshal Wiley, to just give us some peace of mind that when the safety element comes out, that's the next item, it will have estimate of, it will include population of both Richmond and El Sobrante, because El Sobrante Valley is comprising both the city of Richmond, a portion of city of San Pablo, and unincorporated El Sobrante. We want to make sure that each entity just doesn't do its own share of population to estimate evacuation time, that you collaborate together. Is that the case?
Yeah. So my understanding, and it may be very naive for me to approach this, but my understanding is all out of incorporated areas are covered by the sheriff's department. And I know that we have a sheriff's department representative on the call today. Maybe they can weigh in. I think I saw Rick's name. So the unincorporated population for evacuation, fire does rely on our partners, our law enforcement partners, to manage that evacuation process. We are absolutely in partnership when it is response to a fire, but I want to keep in mind that we are talking about all hazards since we're an all hazard district. And so I really think that the planning phase and how it is outlined in the safety element would be best approached in a collaborative effort between fire and law enforcement partners.
I agree, but my question is actually drafting the safety element will be in collaboration between different entities. Fire Marshal Wiley, could you speak to that, please?
That mainly falls under the purview of the OES manager, Richard Diaz. I have collaborated with him, previously in updating the safety element. Currently, he unfortunately is out of town. He's on vacation, but it's definitely on our list of things to get done before the end of the year.
Yes, but if you could confirm that it will be done in collaboration with the county. So the
Yes,
entire population is
we will work together with the county for that area.
excellent. Thank you very much. That's all we wanted to know. With that, if it's okay, I would like to move the discussion item even lower on the agenda, go briefly over the reports, up to 2 minutes each about fuel reduction and vegetation management. Do we have someone from EBMUD to start?
Yeah, hi, Sohila.
Oh, hi.
Matt Sport Leader, Ranger Supervisor, East Bay Mud.
Thank you.
I just want to share a map here. Do you see the map?
Not yet. Try again.
There you go.
Yeah, it's coming up. Excellent.
So here is the interface area of watershed land, East Bay Mud watershed land, with El Sobrante, Pinole, and Hercules within West Contra Costa. The red is areas that we heavily graze. Some of the areas we graze year-round, and some of the areas we graze from October to April, depending on how thick the vegetation is, primarily grasses. The only area that we don't graze with cattle is down here in the far bottom on San Pablo Dam, on the face of the dam, where we utilize goats.
Okay.
So let me share another screen with you here. So in this map, same area, but the red lines are what we have put in. We put these in on an annual basis. Disk lines, a disk line is where the vegetation has been kind of turned over, and then we have a path that is approximately 30 to 40 feet of bare mineral soil. We strategically put these disk lines in areas, as you can see, for example, in El Sobrante, this is the housing development of Carriage Hills North and South. We run the disk line as close as we can along the property line.
Like a fuel break?
Exactly.
Excellent.
And then moving up to Pinole, We do, here it is Pinole Valley Road. This is a neighborhood off Marcus Road, Marcus Court. There it's designated in blue because we actually mow this area here just because it's a little easier to get up there with a mower instead of bringing the dozer and a disc all the way up. And then moving north, Hannah Ranch is in Hercules off Refugio Valley Road. There we run another disc line in between the community and East BMUD watershed land. And then you'll notice we have also run disc lines along Alhambra Valley Road in between the road and East Bay Mud land. This particular disc line has proven very effective. In June, late June, I think it was the 27th, there was a roadside ignition. It burned up to the disc line, and the disc line held and contained the fire.
Awesome. Quick question for you. Pinole Valley Road is a major evacuation route for both Carriage Hills and Pinole. And you see that vegetation by the road, and there is a river there. Could you take care of that and clear that evacuation route? Because the majority of the land there is owned by East Bay Mud.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not showing. Well, so right here, that's what I also want to add too, is that you see all these are fire roads. And on an annual basis, we grade these off to bare mineral soil. And so there is actually a fire road here on this side.
I'm not talking about fire road. I'm talking about the evacuation road, actual Pinole Valley Road.
Off watershed land?
The Pinole Valley Road is an evacuation route,
Okay.
and it
Okay.
should be cleared on both sides at least 10 feet. And
Okay.
13 feet, 6 inches, as Michelle said above.
Okay.
I appreciate that. If you could provide a report on that and the next me or email us as soon as
Yeah.
it gets approved or done.
I know Sahil on this side, it's there's a creek here, so it's a very
Yes.
environmentally sensitive area. We would have to run that by a biologist before we touch it.
You could limb up the trees possibly. It is an
Yeah.
evacuation route.
Oh no, and I fully understand. I also understand that we do have a boundary with Contra Costa County in there.
Sure. And Matt, I just wanted to just offer a quick comment. So Sohaila, when I mentioned the fire code, each partnered agency has their own parameters, policies, and procedures that apply to their vegetation management projects.
Wow.
So we will work with any partnered agency, but to apply that, I'm speaking jurisdictionally from Confire. Like El Cerrito will have their fire ordinance and their fire code. The San Ramon Valley, Moraga Orinda, Carquinez, every fire jurisdiction has their own fire code and fire ordinance. And then at the county level, like County Public Works, and I just wanted to weigh in here really quick as we're talking about these various projects. So like all of our funding comes from Measure X for the Contra Costa Wildfire Mitigation Program. So we are working to update our maps. They're not ready yet, but in the interest of transparency and results-based accountability with the Measure X Community Advisory Board and the County Board of Supervisors, we are working to meet those goals from our funding partners, right? So the funding comes from Measure X, so we are held accountable to the Measure X standard. Additionally, just to address the evacuation routes and clearing of several routes in West County, I mentioned to you on Saturday when we had our Assemblymember Buffy Wicks event that County Public Works was working on, in unincorporated evacuation routes, working on a schedule and providing updates, and that would come from Chief Bachman. So we'll have those out to you as soon as they're ready.
If you could please email us the fire codes. I'm surprised actually that the fire codes are different. I thought it was the same across the county. I would very much appreciate it. Thank you very much for the information. And
our district.
okay, if you could please mute yourself if you're not on the agenda yet. We have PG&E. I would like to thank East Bay Mud and Michelle both again. Thank you very much. Do we have anyone from PG&E to report under vegetation management and fuel reduction? Is PG&E missing? Unfortunately. Okay, Caltrans. Do we have someone from Caltrans, please? Nope.
Hey, Cecilia, it's Cheryl Sablon. How are you?
Oh, hi, Cheryl. Thank you. Go ahead.
No worries. Just calling to, or just joining in to let you know, our vegetation management contract is still with our Department of Procurement. So we're hoping that gets approved shortly here. It looks like maybe December or January is when we would potentially get a contractor on board and start work.
How about your maps? You are updating your maps.
We have not had the chance to get that updated as of right now.
Okay, so please keep us posted. You don't have to wait for our next advisory board meeting in 3 months. Whenever it's ready, please shoot us an email. Thank you very much for the update. Appreciate it. And Michelle, are you still here to briefly tell us about Confire's fuel reduction efforts?
Maybe not.
Yes, we have several projects listed in the portal that are resident driven, also partner agency driven, where mutual support is needed for given funding capacity and staffing limits. So yes, they are reported out on a regular basis. The most recent is found in the fire chief's report. I'm working on getting you the ordinance, but I'm going to give you the fire chief's report also. I just really encourage members of the public to become engaged with their local FireWise group and also take the initiative to form a FireWise group. I know that a number of years ago, Chief Bachman gave a presentation to the West Contra Costa Fire Safe Council about FireWise, and that has been encouraged throughout the last few years. But West County seems to want the engagement with funding, but we need partners and residents to meet us halfway, right? By establishing a FireWise group, you are then able to identify your 3-year action plan for your community. In that 3-year action plan comes the resources.
I'm so sorry, but I have to interrupt you because we have other items. I really appreciate the information.
No,
We need
I'm
to
about to
stick to
jump
the
back in the meeting.
agenda. Thank you,
Thank you.
Michelle. Thank you so much. Richmond Public Works, please, if you could update us.
Good afternoon. My name is Tawfiq Halabi with Richmond Public Works. We've mapped the, I presume you're asking about the evacuation routes.
We are asking about all the work related to fuel reduction, vegetation management, anything you're doing. Please enlighten us.
Yes. Okay. So with regard to the evacuation routes, we've mapped the 3 main locations within the city of Richmond city limits, namely Castro Ranch Road, San Pablo Dam Road, and Valley View Drive. And we're actively working on putting together a plan to address those locations. We've already addressed some of them. It's in progress as part of our annual fuel reduction efforts here in the City of Richmond Public Works Department.
And is there a deadline for them? I mean, we are fortunate to have cool weather still, but it's going to peak up soon.
Yes, I'm not currently aware of a deadline. We are putting together our schedules for the next month of September. So we hope to be able to address those locations during the month of September.
We appreciate giving priority to evacuation routes. By the way, West Contra Costa Fire Safe Council has requested the County Public Works and Measure X to clear eucalyptus trees along San Pablo Dam Road, which is a major evacuation route, and we hope to hear from them soon. Okay, and is that all, Tawfiq?
That's the report for this month.
Okay, how about fire trails? Could you, I know it's another item, but who's in charge of clearing the fire trails? Is it the city or the county?
Oh, that would be the city of Richmond. We're talking about the fire trails in the El Sobrante area with the various city
In the
neighborhoods.
very high fire hazard severity zones, we hope you give them priority.
Yes, we have inventoried them, and we're in conversation with our partners over in the Richmond Fire Department about how to prioritize the clearing of all of those fire trails.
Okay, so we should check back with you in 2 weeks, or
Yes, you can check back in 2 weeks.
could you just email us and let us know when you have
Certainly.
something in the plan? Thank you very much.
Certainly.
So, Hayla, I have a quick
Sure.
update on that. So, fire trails were completed in late May in the Contra Costa County Fire Protection District jurisdiction, and nearly 300 miles were improved upon.
Awesome. So the county, is there any code, Michelle, to your knowledge about
Yeah,
fire
I'm pulling
trails?
that code for you.
Okay, yeah, if you could share it or just put it in the chat if there's a deadline on clearing those. Thank you very much. Do we have anyone from Pinole Public Works? I guess not. And I believe we already covered the next item, which is evacuation routes and fire trails clearings. With that, we move to WUI fire breaks. So just like EBMUD was explaining, and we really appreciate them having fire breaks. Actually, we forgot to ask, I didn't include East Bay Regional Park District. Do we have a representative from East Bay Regional Park District to report on their vegetation management? Is Chief Healy here? Okay, I guess not. So we have to skip the next item as well. And with that, we move to the next item, and hopefully we can wrap it up and get to the discussion. Anyone from Sheriff's Office to provide an update on community warning system and LRAD? Nope.
Hey, this is Rick Kovar with LES.
Oh, hi, Rick. Thank you for coming. Go ahead, please.
Sure, no problem. As far as community warning system, most of you probably know that Julie Beach left probably 2 months ago. Career change for her. So we have a candidate that we did a series of interviews and have identified a candidate. Still waiting for final information on that before we report back on who that's going to be. And then as far as LRADs, there's no action or activity that's happened. I think we mentioned previous months, we're in the process of identifying a consultant vendor to do a full evaluation of the county's emergency management program. So that's the first step. So that's not necessarily going to identify LRADs, but it's going to identify program-specific needs, changes, resources for the county. So that closes next week, and then a vendor/consultant will be chosen, and then we'll start work on that.
Excellent. Just to give you a heads up, we have one sister organization now, and we're going to have another one in Kensington. We're going to team up and really push for LRADs. We strongly believe it's necessary in the community. Thank you very much for the report. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Susan, Susan Vengraf, are you here to provide the report, please, on East Bay Wildfire Coalition? No. How about John Kaufman? Is John here? Henry, would you like to cover for John and give an update on either Alliance, East Bay Wildfire Coalition, or anything you would like to share with us?
Well, there was a recent meeting of the East Bay Wildfire Coalition. East Bay Regional Park District was the major presenter on their fuel reduction projects, and there were several other topics covered. The Fire Safe Alliance, as most of you know, is a group of 6 fire safe councils. Now that El Cerrito is a fire safe council, we're all fire safe councils plus Claremont Canyon Conservancy that meet frequently. We tend to meet before the West Contra Costa County Alliance, Wildfire Alliance of Governments, or Coalition of Governments meet so that we can prepare questions and support for them. So we're kind of the private sector advisor and private sector partners to the Coalition of Governments. That's all I have to report.
Thank you very much. And I hope in the future we can have quick reports from our sister organizations, other fire safe councils, so the public knows how we collaborate.
I will add, we're removing about 70 eucalyptus trees this year, primarily with money from residents and one small donation from the city. And we've asked for another small donation from the city of Berkeley to help us finish the project.
Excellent. So the city of Berkeley donated to removing eucalyptus from private residences or streets?
They gave us a $50,000 settlement fund from the UC Berkeley settlement grant that currently cannot be used for tree removal without them doing an EIR. However, they can now file for a statutory exemption under SB 131. We're in the process of asking the city to do that. It's a one-page document that will enable us to remove trees with some of that money without the city worrying about whether it's compliant with CEQA or not. And we've asked for an additional $50,000 from the city, which would all be used for tree removal, and they would file a SB 131 exemption for that as well. This was not possible prior to SB 131, and the governor's executive order could have made that possible.
Thank you. We shall follow your footsteps and request money from the city. Appreciate it. I believe Chief Osorio is not here. And we cannot get well, I'm a member of an ad hoc committee as a council member too. And unfortunately, we have not met in the summer. I hope to have an update soon because we're talking about weed abatement ordinance and other important issues in the city of Richmond. Do we have a representative from the county CCTA to provide an update on countywide evacuation transportation study progress, please? Daniela, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent, please. Thank you very much for being here, and I appreciate your patience.
Yeah, of course. So CCTA is working on a countywide evacuation study plan. We are planning to take an RFP to our board at the end of September. We're making revisions right now to have the RFP more focused on kind of city preparedness as well as the transportation infrastructure assessment, mostly traffic modeling and understanding kind of countywide what are the improvements we need to be making in infrastructure, whether it's roadway improvements or traffic system signal improvements as well. So we will, it'll be a public document as we bring it to our board in September, and happy to answer anyone's questions on it.
Could you just briefly mention who's involved? Who are the stakeholders who make the decision? Fire agencies or police?
Yeah, CCTA is administering the entire evaluation study. We'll be hiring a consultant to do it, but we're including all the fire agencies, all cities, all transit operators, all paratransit accessibility operators, residents as stakeholders, and we'll be kind of updating our engagement plan to be public engagement as well as stakeholder engagement facilitated throughout.
Thank you very much. Would Fire Safe Councils have a seat at the table?
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. Thank you for counting us in. I appreciate the report. Thank you so much. Anyone from PG&E here? Again, no, I'm sorry to hear that. We only have 1 minute to end. Marilyn, can you just briefly what the discussion would be about so people can email if they have any ideas to share?
Oh dear, you mean on the home advisor program?
Yes.
Well, I was talking with the new Alameda County coordinator who hasn't quite started yet. And he told me that I got the name right this time. Remember that software we saw when it was in beta? They're using FireWise software for reporting. And he said he thought it would solve a lot of our issues of crossing jurisdictions in Contra Costa County with a volunteer home advisor program. And then if we go to best practices instead of only local vegetation, we can help people comply with what the future insurance companies are going to require. But I'm happy to have people advise. We're starting with City of Richmond in part because Fire Marshal Wiley's encouraging us to move forward on this. And UC Master Gardeners, the bosses that be at that organization, which is actually UC Cooperative Extension and UCANR Fire Network through the state, which is relatively new, they really want to get that program going.
Thank you very much, Marilyn. Really appreciate it. And you reminded me, I forgot to announce Chris Pinto will be the new Alameda County Coordinator.
Thank you.
Chris, are you here? Just to introduce you? Okay, maybe at the next meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. Sorry that we're missing some of the items and need to leave it for the future meeting in 3 months, first Monday of November. See you then, and thank you very much, all of you again.
Thank
We'll
you.
be in
Have a
touch
great
by
day.
email. Bye.